of him coming to the UK, big fanfare, big announcements, going to bring his wife and kids, blah, 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 blah. Then the same old security row. They say, look, if you're not a working royal, you don't get all the bells and whistles of security. He starts citing terror threats and so on, but none of it makes any sense.
I think the king will be very, very wary of meeting Harry now. He'll say he hasn't got any space in his diary because Harry has shown himself to be a man of absolutely not only no judgment.
He doesn't get the full armed protection.
Right.
He wants it, though, because he wants to make it in a royal tour.
Of course.
Yes.
He wants to monetize his presence here.
Of course.
The problem is when you become bigger than the event, you become the story, then you have a lot of problems.
He demands security for all his family. They said, no, you can't have it. They've offered him a place at the palace to stay. And then eventually they say you can have it, but he takes so long to try and...
The script claims that a judge who had previously criticized or questioned Prince Harry's statements became involved in another legal matter connected to him. It suggests that this occurred around the same time Harry returned to the UK seeking protection arrangements and presents Tom Bower's commentary as a significant criticism of the situation. The script builds suspense by suggesting that Bower's upcoming remarks could have major consequences for Harry's public image. These claims reflect the script's framing and would need to be verified through official legal records and reliable sources.
I'm sure he thought he was going to win because the lawyers around him kept on encouraging him. And you've got to look at the role of the lawyers in all this. They've been on a gravy train earning tens of millions of pounds because of the action against the Murdoch Empire and then against the Mirror Group. They won a lot of money. But this time, they thought they had it all sewn up because they had a concocted fraudulent statement and they didn't realize it was.
The script focuses on the timing of events surrounding Prince Harry's return to the UK and a related High Court decision. It portrays his arrival and public plans as being immediately followed by a significant legal setback, describing the outcome as a major defeat. The script uses this sequence of events to create a dramatic narrative, while the exact details and significance of any legal ruling would depend on official court records and reporting.
Harry has made a fortune, gazillions of pounds, trashing his family and revealing the most extraordinarily intimate secrets.
Invading everyone else's privacy.
So this is the great royal privacy invader trying to put up this fake sword of the Shining Knight, taking on the journalist for doing exactly what he does all the time and makes vast amounts of money out of it.
The script discusses a legal case involving Prince Harry and the Daily Mail, claiming that the court rejected his challenge and found that the articles in question had been obtained through legitimate sources. It also highlights Piers Morgan's reaction, in which he described the outcome as a victory for journalism and press freedom while expressing strong criticism of Harry. These statements reflect the script's interpretation of the ruling and commentary surrounding it, and the exact legal findings would need to be confirmed through official court documents and reliable reporting.
Harry has lost a gigantic privacy case against the Daily Mail and the Mail on Sunday. A good day for them, a good day for journalism, a great day for press freedom, and a very bad day for ginger, whining, treacherous little weasels. More on that in a moment. The retired Duke of Sussex was, of course, supposed to be travelling with the exiled Duchess and their children.
The script argues that the significance of the legal case went beyond the outcome itself, presenting it as a major moment for Prince Harry's public image. It claims that Tom Bower viewed the case as especially damaging because it involved questions about Harry's statements and credibility. The script frames this as a situation where Harry's reputation was affected, while the actual legal findings and their implications would depend on the details of the court's ruling and official records.
The judge has been remarkably brave because to punch Harry on the nose so violently, and although he hasn't called him a liar, implies that he didn't believe a word of his evidence, was brave in the normal rate of things. But you've got to remember how it all started. It all starts with the hacked-off people and Sherborne, the lawyer, coming to Harry with a statement by a so-called private detective that he had burgled his way into all the claimants' homes, laid wire traps and all the rest of it. And that statement was proven by the Mail to be completely and utterly bogus.
Was a crucial moment.
The script focuses on the judge involved in Prince Harry's legal matters and claims that the same judge had previously ruled against him in another case. It presents these events as a pattern of legal setbacks and argues that they affected Harry's public reputation. The script also includes commentary about the possible impact on his relationship with the royal family and his standing in the UK. These statements reflect the interpretation and opinions presented in the script, while the actual details and implications of the court decisions would depend on official legal records.
The trouble he's in, because this isn't just a defeat in a civil case. This is Harry being exposed as not telling the truth under oath in the King's court. This is serious stuff. And of course, in public, he has been trained always to smile. We know from his book that the smiles are often faked, so he's faking it now. Meghan, stuck probably in Portugal, is wondering what's her fate as well.
The script then shifts focus to journalist Katie Nicholl, describing her experience during the legal dispute involving Prince Harry. It claims that several of her articles were challenged and that the court ultimately viewed her work and testimony positively, describing her as honest and credible. The script also highlights the personal difficulties she faced while dealing with health challenges during the period of the case. These details are presented from the script's perspective and would need to be confirmed through official court records and reliable reporting.
Where can they go? They're not going to be welcome in Britain anymore. The King is not going to want to be at all in the same room with a man, his son, who has been labelled a liar today in the courts.
It's truly humiliating, is it not? It's humiliating.
Well, it's more than humiliating. I mean, in the end, Meghan and Harry went to America to get their privacy, but to monetize...
LOL. The privacy.
to monetize their fame and all the rest of it. And they did very well at the beginning.
The script continues by shifting attention from the court decision to Prince Harry's dispute over security arrangements. It claims that, before the verdict was announced, Harry had made security a central issue during his UK visit and sought a level of protection similar to that provided to working members of the royal family. The script argues that he was denied this arrangement because he was no longer a working royal. These points reflect the script's interpretation of the situation, while the exact details of the security arrangements and legal decisions are based on official statements and court records.
This idea that Prince Harry seems to want the public to buy into, that every story about him and his family has been gained illegally by terrible journalists, it's just not true.
Well, it's been knocked out. Every single article was legitimately sourced, is Justice Nicklin's findings. And, Paul Dacre's gone on to give a really passionate and emotional...
The script discusses Prince Harry's continued concerns about his security arrangements and claims that he responded by supporting a privately funded report about the security risks he faces. It then highlights commentary from critics who questioned the details of the reported threat assessment and made comparisons about how security risks were described in different locations. The script presents these reactions as part of the broader debate over Harry's security dispute, while the actual assessments and decisions would depend on official reports and legal findings.
It's worse that here's the fifth in line of succession challenging his King's court.
Yes.
And the King's judge.
Yes.
And in the end, this is actually why I said to you what's going to happen during this week. Because Harry now is kicking out, the same as when he lost the rabbit thing and did that interview. He cannot accept actually democracy, the truth, and the way the system works. No. If it's not to his liking, then it's appalling. And that is really why I said to you what's going to happen during this week. Because actually, he and Meghan now, in my view, have reached the end of a chapter.
The script then presents criticism from commentators in the United States, including Megyn Kelly, regarding Prince Harry's security dispute. It claims that critics argued Harry had sufficient personal wealth to arrange private security rather than receive publicly funded protection. The script also describes commentary questioning the significance of a document detailing alleged security threats, suggesting that some viewed it as an exaggeration of the risks involved. These statements reflect the opinions and interpretations of commentators featured in the script, rather than established conclusions.
Let me just guide you back across the pond to what is happening here, because it involves an old friend of yours and mine, Prince Harry, the rogue son, who is crash landing into the UK today. And there's this gigantic furore, as always, has erupted around the little entitled brat, where he and his father and Buckingham Palace have been at loggerheads, it seems, all week, where at the last minute, He demands security for all his family. They said, no, you can't have it.
The script highlights reactions from critics and members of the public who argued that Prince Harry's decision to step back from royal duties also meant accepting responsibility for his own security arrangements. It presents the view that some believe his security requests are connected not only to personal safety concerns, but also to maintaining the appearance and status associated with royal protection. The script references commentary from figures such as Kinsey Schofield, who suggested that security arrangements can influence how a public visit is perceived. These points reflect opinions and interpretations surrounding the ongoing debate over Harry's security situation.
And this is par for the course when he goes over there with this, on and on objection to what kind of security he's going to get. He's got tens of millions of dollars over here, reportedly over $100 million. He can afford his own security. He says, oh, well, they can't have guns. You know what? You don't need guns. There haven't been a ton of plots where we've seen people actually taking shots at the royal family. What you need is a bodyguard. You need, over here, be a former Navy SEAL type, somebody to stop somebody from coming over and physically getting in your grill, attacking you, or being too, forthright in their interactions with you.
The script presents the argument that Prince Harry's desire for security may also be connected to maintaining a public image associated with royal status. It then shifts focus to King Charles and claims that, despite past disagreements and public criticism, he extended an offer for Harry to use Buckingham Palace during a UK visit. The script frames this as a gesture of reconciliation from a father toward his son, suggesting that the offer reflected a continued desire to maintain family connections. These details are presented from the script's perspective and would depend on official statements and confirmed reports for verification.
But I think you've probably witnessed the redirection of Prince Harry over the last 6 to 12 months. He wants to be seen as a serious person. I mean, 14 mentions or something of Todger in his book. He's trying to redirect the conversation. Ukraine, talking, challenging Putin, challenging Trump. That article he wrote in the New Statesman about anti-Semitism. He wants to be taken as a serious person. And this loss jeopardizes his credibility. It jeopardizes his authority. And I think it jeopardizes his future when it comes to making money.
The script claims that Prince Harry delayed responding to the reported offer of accommodation at Buckingham Palace, leaving the palace staff unable to finalize arrangements for his visit. It suggests that preparations involving security, staff, and other logistics were affected by the uncertainty, and that, by the time Harry accepted the offer, the opportunity was no longer available. The script presents this as an example of tension surrounding the arrangements, although the exact timeline and details would need to be confirmed through official sources.
The retired Duke of Sussex was, of course, supposed to be travelling with the exiled Duchess and their children. There was excitable talk of settling family feuds and a rare meeting between the King and his grandchildren. Instead, Harry has used the publicity about the trip to do what he does best, grandstand about perceived grievances. He once again demanded taxpayer-funded security protection, despite not being a working royal. Once again, he was told the answer, quite rightly, is no. The royals offered Harry and his family use of Buckingham Palace for the duration of their stay. It's self-evidently one of the most secure buildings in the United Kingdom, after all.
The script presents Tom Bower's interpretation of the situation, describing the reported events as a significant setback for Prince Harry. It claims that the combination of legal difficulties and disagreements with the royal family represented two major challenges involving institutions beyond his control. The script also highlights the palace's reported decision to publicly clarify the timeline of events, suggesting that this was unusual given the royal family's traditional approach of avoiding public explanations. According to the script, Bower viewed the issue not simply as a matter of scheduling, but as a deeper problem involving trust and communication. These points reflect the script's perspective and would require confirmation from official statements and reliable reporting.
But apparently the palace is not fit for the spare to the throne. Harry didn't respond to the offer. Instead, he leaked a self-funded report about the colossal terror threat he faces to ITV News and told the rest of his family to stay away. That terror threat apparently only applied to London, and it was clear that if they were in Birmingham, for example, which is 2 hours' drive away, it wouldn't apply. Maybe you can let the terrorists know that they're geographic-based. I'm not sure they got that memo. But after this afternoon's news, he's probably wishing he stayed away himself.
The script claims that the situation reflected a serious breakdown in trust between Prince Harry and the royal establishment. It then introduces allegations involving journalist Charlotte Griffiths, stating that she disputed the idea that leaks around a reported meeting came from the palace and instead suggested that information may have originated from sources connected to the Sussex camp. The script presents this as a challenge to the narrative that Harry and Meghan were only victims of unwanted media attention. These claims reflect the views and allegations presented in the script and would require verification from the individuals involved and reliable sources.
Well, I think hugely. I think the king and the monarchy has been hugely damaged by this case and by Harry's conduct. I think the judge who gave him a very sharp punch on the nose, followed by the king giving him a slap in the face by not having him at Buckingham Palace, because he realizes that Harry actually, throughout the last 5 years, whether it's an accusation of racism or all the stuff in his autobiography about the royal family and his father and his brother and Kate and Camilla and all that, of course it's been hugely damaging. And the popularity of the royal family has fallen because of Meghan and Harry's antics.
The script then discusses the debate surrounding royal titles and compares Prince Harry and Meghan's situation with that of Prince Andrew. It claims that, for many years, removing titles from members of the royal family was considered highly unlikely or unprecedented. The script points to Andrew's loss of certain royal roles and privileges as an example that changed public expectations, leading some commentators to question whether similar action could ever be considered for Harry and Meghan. This reflects an ongoing public debate, while decisions regarding royal titles and roles remain matters of constitutional and royal authority.
And the many other journalists that have gone through this. And I've worked on Fleet Street now for 20 years. I've been at Vanity Fair for 15 of those. I was at the Mail on Sunday for 17 of those years. And they were wonderful years of journalism. And, you know, I did journalism the hard way, right? I went out every night. I partied with Prince Harry. That story came out in the court when, you know, he couldn't remember, but he invited me into the party, into his inner circle. I did things the old-fashioned way, went and knocked on doors, curated contacts, got people on side. I remember being told when I was under...
The script returns to the debate over security arrangements and royal titles, comparing Prince Harry's situation with that of Prince Andrew. It claims that one commentator argued King Charles had previously supported security arrangements for Andrew even after his loss of official duties, suggesting a similar approach could be possible for Harry. The script then presents opposing views, with critics arguing that the comparison is different because of Harry and Meghan's public interviews, media projects, and criticisms of the royal family. It concludes by highlighting Tom Bower's reported opinion that removing titles should be considered. These points reflect commentary and opinions presented in the script rather than confirmed decisions or official positions.
And there's no comparison to Andrew. But the interesting thing about, I mean, Andrew, to me, by not being, you know, properly interviewed under caution in America and here, until he does that, I've got no time for it. It's like, you deserve all you have on the thing. But he was stripped of his titles. And I've said...
But he still had funded security.
Well, it's more complex, because if you actually look at the way they apportion the armed security is what Harry wants, right? The proper armed security. That is the sticking point. Anne doesn't get it. Edward doesn't get it. I mean, hardly any of them get it. They don't need it. Yeah. We don't have guns in this country.
To be fair, I don't think...
The script continues by focusing on Tom Bower's criticism of Meghan Markle and presents his interpretation of the wider conflict involving Harry, Meghan, and the royal family. It states that Bower expressed strong views about Meghan's influence and motivations, arguing that he believes her actions have been driven by self-promotion and personal interests. The script also claims that Bower believes Meghan had a major influence on Harry's decisions, and that the consequences of those choices would eventually return to them. These statements represent Bower's personal opinions and the script's framing of events, rather than verified facts or universally accepted conclusions.
And they've been very wary of being used as a PR tool to reconnect them back to the A-list royals, which gives them a currency they can then manipulate and sell back in America. And I don't think the royal family are going to let them do it. So then the question becomes, well, what happens? I mean, you know, how can he, with all the attention this defeat will bring, notwithstanding his weaselly words, as you say, challenging a judge's verdict. I mean, it's pretty serious, actually. He's got to be careful he doesn't get into contempt here. But he, you know, how can he legitimately bring his family to this country, given he's attracted all this huge attention on him, which will mean the media will be absolutely obsessing over where he is and what he's doing, far more than they would have done otherwise.
The script emphasizes the significance of Tom Bower's criticism by referring to his previous books about the couple and his ongoing public commentary. It claims that Meghan had previously dismissed his work, while Bower responded by defending his reporting and stating that he stood by his conclusions. The script then shifts to Bower's account of Harry's relationship with legal advisors and activists, suggesting that these connections influenced his approach to media disputes. These statements reflect Bower's views and interpretations as presented in the script and would require independent verification for factual confirmation.
They're not apologising. They have no contrition for the terrible things they've done over the last 5 years. So I never understood exactly how they thought it would play out, except that Harry was blackmailing his father.
Yes.
Do you want to see your grandchildren or not? And the king, not being in his best of health and all the rest of that, and being a man who on the whole probably wants to see his grandchildren, wavered. I think that ship has passed. I think that the Sussex's dream of somehow finding a role here, half in, half out, so that they can somehow rebuild some sort of identity in California and sell the jam jars and all the rest of it, I think that is now passed.
The script presents Tom Bower's criticism of the legal strategy surrounding Prince Harry's media disputes. It claims that Bower believes lawyers and advisors involved in previous cases benefited financially, and that, in this particular case, they continued despite concerns over evidence. The script alleges that a witness statement from a private investigator was disputed and describes the legal action as a major failure that left Harry facing criticism. These claims reflect Bower's interpretation and the script's narrative, while the actual legal details, evidence, and financial arrangements would need to be confirmed through official court records and reliable sources.
I'm sure he thought he was going to win because the lawyers around him kept on encouraging him. And you've got to look at the role of the lawyers and all this. They've been on a gravy train earning tens of millions of pounds because of the action against the Murdoch Empire and then against the Mirror Group. They won a lot of money. But this time, they thought they had it all sewn up because they had a concocted fraudulent statement and they didn't realize it was so phony. Until, of course, one wonders how they got it in the first place. But anyway, Harry was ensnared at Elton John's house in the south of France years ago to trust this group of lawyers and activists. And they were, in the end, the gravy train has come to an end.
The script continues by discussing the reported financial and reputational consequences of Prince Harry's legal battles. It claims that the costs involved reached more than £50 million and highlights Tom Bower's criticism of Harry's past actions and public decisions. According to the script, Bower argues that Harry's handling of personal stories, media disputes, and legal challenges has damaged his own reputation. These statements reflect Bower's opinions and the script's interpretation of events, rather than established conclusions.
And Harry was used by them, and I don't think he realized until today the trouble he's in, because this isn't just a defeat in a civil case. This is Harry being exposed as not telling the truth under oath in the King's court. This is serious stuff. And of course, in public, he has been trained always to smile. We know from his book that the smiles are often faked, so he's faking it now.
The script then turns to speculation about a possible visit involving Meghan and the children to Althorpe, the burial place of Princess Diana. It claims that there were rumors the visit could have been connected to a documentary project marking the anniversary of Diana's death. The script describes strong reactions from commentators and viewers who questioned the idea of young children visiting the grave of a grandmother they never personally knew. These points are presented as speculation and public reaction within the script, rather than confirmed plans or events.
They've been living in a self-fabricated bubble where they have effectively believed themselves to be the victims.
Yes.
Well, now they're not the victims, they're the perpetrators. They're the people who have victimized the Daily Mail and all the journalists who were honest. Yeah. And especially, for example, that journalist Charlotte Griffith, who he said...
CG string.
who he said was fabricating her evidence, and she produced the evidence to show that he was lying.
He was offering cuddles.
And and that's the problem with him. He is now shown to have created victims, not only amongst the Daily Mail journalists, but I thought in his book, for example, the way he lampooned a teacher who had a problem, the way he exposed the girl whose virginity, lost his virginity to, which embarrassed her. Which embarrassed her.
Yes.
The script continues by discussing public reactions to speculation about the children visiting Princess Diana's resting place. It contrasts this idea with the fact that the children have had limited relationships with some living relatives, including King Charles and Thomas Markle, according to the script. It highlights comments from critics who questioned whether young children would fully understand such a visit and whether it would be appropriate at their age. The script also references Tom Bower's criticism that Diana's legacy is sometimes brought into public discussions in ways connected to image and publicity. These views represent opinions and interpretations presented in the script rather than confirmed facts about the family's private decisions or motivations.
But what's interesting about it, as I said, is if this emerges into the sunset, as it were, of, well, Harry now has done this, and they utilise this will just look absolutely terrible. Now, the problem with Harry and Markle is basically it's a little bit like, I've gone and got it wrong again, right? She was never really that keen on pushing down this particular route because, as I've said, she holds the purse strings. She knows exactly the money. She has better idea, really. Out of the two of them, I wouldn't say they're the brains of Britain, but out of the two, she has more of a concept of what is required for daily living. You understand?
The script describes concerns from critics who questioned whether a potential visit to Princess Diana's resting place could become part of a commercial project rather than remaining a private family moment. It mentions speculation that Diana's brother, Charles Spencer, might object to any filming at Althorpe. The script then shifts to a broader discussion about the couple's business ventures and public image, claiming that some commentators believe their projects have struggled to gain momentum. These points reflect the opinions and interpretations presented in the script and do not represent confirmed facts about private plans, business performance, or motivations.
And I don't think the royal family are going to let them do it.
Exactly.
So then the question becomes, well, what happens? I mean, how can he, with all the attention this defeat will bring, notwithstanding his weaselly words, as you say, challenging a judge's verdict. I mean, it's pretty serious, actually. You've got to be careful he doesn't get into contempt here. But how can he legitimately bring his family to this country, given he's attracted all this huge attention on him, which will mean the media will be absolutely obsessing over where he is and what he's doing, far more than they would have done otherwise.
The script discusses criticism surrounding Harry and Meghan's business projects, claiming that some of their announced ventures failed to achieve the expected impact and that there was frustration from partners over unfinished projects. It also presents the view of some commentators that the couple's connection to Hollywood and celebrity circles has changed over time, comparing their public relationships with those of other members of the royal family. The script then returns to financial concerns, suggesting that legal costs, business challenges, and public image issues have created pressure for the couple. It argues that their return to the UK may have been motivated less by reconciliation and more by a desire to restore their connection with the royal family and strengthen their public brand. These points reflect the opinions and interpretations presented in the script rather than confirmed facts about their finances, relationships, or intentions.
Well, the question is that why do they keep on appearing on Netflix, Oprah Winfrey, Apple?
Because they're earning money.
They're earning money at other people's expense.
But they have royal titles bestowed on them by our royal family and monarchy.
They're exploiting it.
And they're exploiting them for personal gain only.
They
do no duties. Do some bloody duties.
Fine, fantastic.
Come back and do your jobs.
I agree with you.
Okay.
Wonderful. Let's welcome them back. When are they going to start?
When are we going to see them on a wet Wednesday in Stoke at a flower show? Never. Never.
The script presents Tom Bower's view of the relationship between Prince Harry and Meghan, suggesting that he does not believe divorce speculation because he thinks both individuals benefit from remaining connected. It claims that Bower sees their titles and public association as important factors in maintaining their relevance and public profiles. The script also describes online speculation about Meghan's possible future plans, including theories about finances, timing, and the role of royal titles in the relationship. These claims are presented as opinions and internet speculation rather than confirmed facts. The broader discussion reflects ongoing public debate about the couple's marriage, image, and place within the royal family.
Or wine for money. Yeah. Absolutely. I think that is the question now will be, Prince William now has got even more ammunition to say to his father, enough's enough. Let us get rid of this family. Let us even strip them of their titles. They're doing us huge harm, just in the same way as Andrew did. And I think Charles will now, the king now, will realise that there's a lose-lose. Any association with Harry has got to be lose.
I mean, is this marriage going to survive?
Yes, because they need each other. I've never believed the divorce theory. But the whole point about this bringing them back is no one trusts them.
Right.
It was Meghan who lied about the whole marriage, about the whole way in which she was treated. It was her absolute dishonesty and always her intention to go back to Hollywood and capitalise.
Well, what were the two things that never appeared in his book, right? Racism and the suicide stuff, right?
Yeah.
Which were the two things I challenged in real time on Good Morning Britain, and I had to leave for disbelieving it, right? They never appeared in his book. It was like it never got said, right? She was so suicidal that apparently she went to a senior person at the palace who said she couldn't get any help.
The script concludes by discussing differing views about how members of the royal family may approach their relationship with Prince Harry and Meghan in the future. It suggests that some believe King Charles may prefer reconciliation, while Prince William could take a stricter approach regarding the couple's public role and royal titles. The script also highlights Tom Bower's opinion that the royal family should create greater distance from the Sussexes and argues that Harry's public image has been significantly affected by recent controversies. It presents the events as a major turning point involving legal disputes, family tensions, and public reaction. These statements reflect the opinions and interpretations presented in the script and do not represent confirmed decisions or official positions of the royal family.